When the church's ministers enter into a liturgical celebration like the Mass, they are clothed in a particular way, signifying that the celebration into which we are entering is not something ordinary, but something that takes us out of the ordinary experience of human life. So one of the important things to remember is that as these ministers are entering into the sacred ministry, they cover up their ordinary clothing. In the celebration of the Mass, we leave the world behind and cover our ordinary, everyday clothing with the sacred garments that signify our office. The sacred vestment that is common to all instituted and ordained ministers is called the alb. The alb is that white vestment that completely covers the body. But before the alb is put on, the Church tells us that another garment, which is called an amice, is put on over the head, covering the shoulders and wrapped around the collar, so that the ordinary clothing is completely hidden, completely covered. When the priest or deacon puts on the amice, he says a particular prayer. It represents, following St. Paul, the helmet of salvation. This is the prayer. Place upon me, O Lord, the helmet of salvation, that I may overcome the assaults of the devil. This notion comes to us from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians, and essentially it's a prayer that the Lord will protect the minister as he performs his sacred duties. The alb is a reminder of baptism. When a person is baptized, the minister says, "You have become a new creation and put on Christ. See in this white garment the outward sign of your Christian dignity." So when the minister puts on the alb, he says this prayer: "Make me white, O Lord, and cleanse my heart, that being made white in the blood of the Lamb, I may deserve an eternal reward." This is a reference to the book of Revelation. Again, we find ourselves being a mirror of the image of heaven. In Revelation, it talks about the white-robed elders. Then one of the elders spoke up and said to me, "Who are these wearing white robes, and where did they come from?" I said to him, "My Lord, you are the one who knows." He said to me, "These are the ones who have survived the time of great distress. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb." And finally, a common article of clothing for instituted and ordained ministers is called the cincture. The cincture is the rope-like or the belt-like accessory that's tied around the waist over the alb. The cincture represents the minister's commitment to the virtue of chastity. As the minister puts the cincture on, he says this: "Gird me, O Lord, with the cincture of purity, and quench in my heart the fire of concupiscence, that the virtue of continence and chastity may abide in me." This prayer weaves together images from St. Paul's letter to the Galatians and the first letter of St. Peter. These common vestments clothe the minister, preparing him to enter into his sacred function.